Oh boy, 2015 was a great year for my channel. Even after an unplanned hiatus, I still managed to get out a lot of new videos for you, including a collab. I even started a new series with the boss inspection, and I even reached 3,000 subscribers. I also got me a new camera and began showing my face, which I am sure it made me lose a lot of subscribers because of how disgusting I look. I really can't thank you guys enough for this amazing year we had here at Obsidious Man. And like always, I'm going to finish 2015 with the obligatory Best Games I Played This Year countdown. Oh yeah, I am so original.
I made a list like this for 2013 and I did another one for 2014. So this is a tradition in my channel already. But I am especially happy to make this 2015 edition because I played so many interesting games this year and I really want to tell you what I think of them and recommend them to you. While I did play some games from familiar franchises that you already know I love, there are others that I never thought I was ever going to play, let alone love as much as I did. Trust me, it's going to get interesting. Or at least I hope so. You already know the only rule here. This is a list of the games I played for the first time this year, but it doesn't mean that they had to come out on 2015. Now sit down and enjoy my final video of the year. This is my top 10 games I played in 2015. Killer is Dead. Another year, another Suda51 game gets into one of these lists. But let's be clear about something, Killer is Dead is one of Suda's weaker titles. It's not as polished as Lollipop Chainsaw or No More Heroes, games that were already flawed on their own. Killer is Dead has really repetitive gameplay, the main character is not likable, the sense of humor is really immature, and the story seems to have no real direction or focus. It's all about the moon giving some people weird powers, while you play as an assassin for hire, and it's just confusing as hell.
Trust me, Killer is Dead's moon fetish gets Majora's Mask around for its money.
These blatant flaws put Killer is Dead just at number 10, but regardless of them, I still really enjoy this game. Take a look at it, look at that art style, it's like nothing you've seen before and I love it. This game has a lot of personality in its art style and its design, especially on the characters and the monsters. The amazing soundtrack helps building this game's stylish personality, and the combat, while it has no real substance, still is very fun, very badass and challenging most of the times, especially during the boss fights, an aspect that Goichi Suda always gets right. And yeah, the Gigolo missions are immature, stupid and maybe even sexist, but hey, I played them with my friends and we had a laugh at how weird and silly they were. And hey, those Gigolo missions are the closest to a date this loser will ever have. I can't really recommend Killer is Dead to everybody, but if you enjoy Lollipop Chainsaw and No More Heroes, I say you should give it a shot. It's just another stylish and fun hack and slash, and I can't wait to see what's the next game that Suda will make.
Oh wait, he scrapped an action game with an anime art style called Lily Bergamo in order to make a generic looking free-to-play multiplayer game called Let It Die. Just when I thought Jasper Bad Jr. was the worst decision Goichi Suda ever made.
Okami then. Like Kid Icarus Uprising, this is yet another game sent to me by my friend and fan, Holucha's Wingman. To be fair, he did send other 3 games I don't think I will ever talk about, but hey, I am still extremely thankful to him. But I already made an entire video focused on thanking him for these awesome gifts, so let's move on. Okami then blew my mind because it does an amazing job at being a portable pseudo-sequel to a beloved game on a freaking handheld, while still managing to keep everything that made the original game so great. In this follow-up to Okami, you play as Amateratsu's descendant, Chibiteratsu, as you go through an adventure to stop evil entities and make new friends in the process. And let's not forget that Chibiteratsu, it's a puppy, and everything is better with puppies.
Even YouTube videos get better with puppies, right? There, I show you a cute dog, give me more views now!
This story is nothing special, but the characters in it are memorable and likable, with some good development to them. Some of them include Kuro, Kuni and Kagu. They are even more prominent because of the new companion gameplay, in which Chibi will be held by several characters during his adventure, all with their own special abilities that can help you solve puzzles and defeat enemies. It's a very fun new mechanic that mixes things up a bit. But obviously the thing about Okami Den's gameplay that stands out the most is the Celestial Brush. This game works perfectly on the Nintendo DS, since the brush is much more comfortable and precise to use with the system's touchscreen. Because of this, I really hope we eventually get a third installment in the Wii U. It's such an obvious choice that I am surprised that it didn't happen yet. Do you guys at Capcom hate money or something? What works especially well about Okami Den on the DS is that it looks as beautiful and unique as its predecessor, because it uses the limitations of the system on its favor instead of holding it back. And the soundtrack, it is as beautiful as the one in Okami as well. While I can say I enjoyed Okami Den a lot, like its predecessor, it still has some pacing issues and repetitive gameplay that hold it back a bit. But regardless of that, I am really glad that I finally got to play it on 2015, and I can't thank Holucha's Wingman enough for sending it. Now send me more games, you bitch! Zone of the Enders, the second runner. Last year I played the original Zone of the Enders. It was okay, it had some glaring issues, but it still was a very fun title. But I felt it could have had a lot more to it. Luckily there was a sequel, and it completely blew it out of the water. Second Runner improved on everything bad about the original, while adding a lot more to it. The combat was even faster and more entertaining. There were a lot of fun new power-ups to use, the boss fights are abundant and epic, the levels had better designs to them, and the overall experience was more challenging and memorable. Not to mention the fact that it's longer and it has a decent ending, unlike that piece of shit ending from the first game that is right there with Halo 2 as one of the worst in the industry. Oh, and this game has some really cool anime cutscenes instead of those awkward models used in the first one.
Ooh, sorry, I'm allergic to anime.
I gotta admit though, I couldn't really follow the plot of this game. And this is coming from someone who understands the stories of Kingdom Hearts and Metal Gear better than the history of his own country. It's not bad, it's just a confusing tale about a new pilot for the orbital frame Shehuti who dies if he's disconnected from the mech in question. And he has to lead the rebellion against an evil company in space,
or something like that. I was honestly so distracted by the amazing gameplay that I didn't pay much attention. Is any of that going in the exam?
Now, I am sure some of you never heard of Zone of the Enders, the second runner, nor its predecessor. They are kind of obscure, but if you love fast-paced action and giant mechas, I totally recommend them, especially the sequel. And here's something that may convince you too: they are directed by the one and only Hideo Kojima. Now that explains the stupidly confusing storyline. That also explains why we haven't gotten a new Zone of the Enders game in years, and why we may never see another installment again. Because, you know, these were published by Konami, and they have gone freaking insane. Killaby Triple Deluxe. Killaby is one of my favorite franchises because of how easy these games are to just pick up, play, and have a lot of fun. And Triple Deluxe on the Nintendo 3DS is no exception, especially because it's on a handheld, which makes it even more accessible. Like I said, Triple Deluxe follows the standards of the Kirby franchise. The main character is adorable, the gameplay is simple but tons of fun. The graphics are colorful, the music is charming and creates a pleasant atmosphere, it even includes some kick-ass remixes. And the story, well, it's not interesting at all, but hey, if you really want to complain about the lack of a story in a Kirby game, then you have some real issues, my friend. The stars of this game are, obviously, the copy abilities. There are 26 in this one, and aside from the classic ones like Sword, Hammer or Fire, there are also a few new awesome ones, like Archer or Circus. They all have creativity to them, and they work in ingenious ways when you come across a specific puzzle that can only be solved with a specific ability. Plus, little Kirby here looks so fucking cute with all of those hats. Ah, he's even cuter than a puppy! Don't tell my dog I said that. Of course, it can't be a main Kirby game without a gimmick to spice things up, and in this one we have the Hypernova ability. If Kirby swallows a miracle fruit, he will become a vacuum that can absorb anything in his path, no matter how big. And surprisingly, the Hypernova segments ended up being my favorite in the entire game. The level design in these sections is really clever, really entertaining, and they make perfect use of Kirby's new power-up. I really love them. With the addition of some of the best and most badass boss battles in the Kirby franchise and some fun new modes, including a Kirby Smash Bros., Triple Deluxe is a must-own for any Kirby fan with a 3DS. It may be very easy and silly, but hey, it's Kirby, and that's kind of a given with this franchise. It's part of its charm.
Now, before we move on to the next segment, I want to end this one on a special note. This year, Satoru Iwata, president of Nintendo, sadly passed away. Now, I know he was not directly involved in the development of Triple Deluxe, but he was one of the many people responsible for the birth of the Kirby franchise. So, I thought I could pay respects to him on this segment, since I didn't have the chance to do so in a previous video. Satoru Iwata was a great man, a gamer, a developer, and a leader. His contributions to the gaming industry will never be forgotten, and all gamers, Nintendo fans or not, will always remember him. Thank you.
Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Pokémon will always be one of my favorite video game franchises, no matter what. But, truth be told, I haven't been playing a lot of it recently, at least not as much as I used to. But, this year I managed to get my hands on the Hoenn remakes, which were so good that they reminded me why I love Pokémon so much. Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are remakes of the Gen 3 games, Ruby and Sapphire. But saying they are just remakes would be an understatement, because they add so much in order to change things up that they feel like entirely different games. This means Game Freak also tried to improve some of the flaws Pokémon X and Y had, and they succeeded with flying colors. For example, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire actually have a pretty solid story, which is surprising considering how minimal and silly the plot was in the original games. I mean, it's nothing mind-blowing, but hey, for Pokémon standards, it has some depth to it, and it kept me hooked during the entire game, which didn't happen to me since Black and White 1 and 2. The 3D graphics are basically the same from X and Y, which means the game looks very polished, but they did play a bit more with the 3D perspectives on this one, so you get to see how big and beautiful Hoenn looks now. And the soundtrack of this game is one of the most memorable in the franchise, right there with Gen 5's music. I know, I already praised the music of pretty much every single game on this list so far, but my god, the music in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is truly fantastic. The old songs were remixed perfectly, and the new ones are just incredible.
Have you listened to Wally's theme? It sounds like something straight out of Dragon Ball Z. It's just perfect.
The gameplay didn't change all that much, obviously, but hey, it still is the familiar, fun, and very engaging Pokémon we all know and love. And the few fresh new additions, like the contest and secret bases, are welcome changes. There are a lot of new Mega Evolutions in these remakes, and they are all fantastic and very fun to use. I never realized how much I needed a Mega Septen in my life, but hey, turns out I really did, and I love it a lot. Oh, and don't even get me started on Mega Rayquaza.
Well, I used to be a Christian until I played this game. Now there's no point to it anymore, because everybody knows that Mega Rayquaza is the most powerful entity to have ever existed, so let's just surrender to him. All hail Mega Rayquaza! Now let's see how many people take that stupid joke too seriously because it was about religion.
My religious beliefs aside, Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire may not be the most creative game out there, but it's definitely one of the most solid entries in the Pokémon franchise, and no fan should pass up on it. It was a fresh and fun new way of revisiting an old game from my childhood. Shovel Knight. Here's an interesting one. In case you didn't notice, I've never talked about an indie game on my channel before. For one reason or another, I never really got into independent video games, but this year I played two amazing exceptions, and the beloved Shovel Knight was one of them. Like always, I am a bit late to the bandwagon because I'm a dumbass, since everybody already fell in love with this game last year, and while I may not love it as much as everyone else, I can definitely see why it gets so much praise. There are many pretentious indie games out there that claim to be retro, but I feel Shovel Knight is one of the few that truly conveys what that word means. it has the interesting levels, it has the impressive sprite work, it has the tight controls, and it even has the catchy and atmospheric 8-bit soundtrack. All these classic elements are done so well that Shovel Knight could have easily been an NES game years ago. Being an obvious homage to games like Mega Man and Castlevania, Shovel Knight takes you on an adventure as the titular character, as he defeats the 8 Knights of the Order of No Quarter on the respective levels as he tries to rescue his beloved shield knight from the evil enchantress. But the simplistic story is not the focus of the game, that just goes with the retro feeling. The world and the characters have great designs to them, and the theme levels with a specific boss at the end are very reminiscent of Mega Man. Unlike Mega Man, most of these boss battles are really fun to play, which is impressive for a 2D platformer. Each level is very atmospheric and they all have their own unique twist to them that makes them fun, unique and memorable to play through. If there is one thing that bothers me about the NES theme of Shovel Knight is that there are some mechanics that I find really outdated and that just flat out don't work on modern games. Like the knockback every time you get hit or dying instantly when falling on spikes. It's just really annoying, even if it's just part of the whole retro thing this game has going for. But regardless of some nitpicks, Shovel Knight is very entertaining, very addictive, and just another indie classic that helped me change my mind on independent game developers. With a free DLC campaign released this year and another 2 coming out soon, there's no reason for you to not pick up this impressive game.
It's amazing all the things you can do with a shovel, right? Okay, turns out this is a spoon, but hey, I don't actually have a shovel because, you know, I live in the city. But I can do other things with it, like eating ice cream. Call me a spoon knight.
A tie between Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves, and Sly Cooper Thieves in Time.
Remember what I said about this franchise last year? Nah, you really don't need a reminder. But I did say that I really wanted to play Sly Cooper 3 and 4, which I ended up doing this year.
These are definitely the best 2 games in the franchise, and since I managed to play both of them in 2015, I couldn't really decide which one I prefer, so I decided to go with a tie instead. After all, these games are not too different from each other. Sly 3 has the Cooper gang traveling around the world trying to recruit new members in order to open the mysterious Cooper Vault. On the other hand, in Thieves in Time, the gang has to travel through time, meeting Sly's ancestors in order to stop a villain from fucking up his entire family line. The storylines are very simplistic but have a lot of charm to them because they feel like something out of a cartoon. Especially because all the characters, both heroes and villains, are very likable, very memorable, and they actually develop. Sly, Bentley, Murray, Carmelita, and even the rest of the Cooper family, they are all such interesting and amazing characters.
And contrary to popular belief, this game doesn't make me want to bone a fox. It just won't happen. Carmelita does have a shitty Latino accent just like me, doesn't she?
Gameplay-wise, Sly 3 and 4 pretty much play the same. They are mission-based 3D platformers with a strong focus on stealth, all with very comfortable controls, especially when you play as Sly Cooper himself. You can also play as his friends, who all have different types of gameplay. The playable cast goes to insane numbers in both games, including villains from previous games, crazy new characters, or even Sly's ancestors. They all bring something new and fun to the table, giving these games a lot of variety. I just had a lot of fun with this gameplay. Since both games are all about traveling, one around the world and another one through time, they both present very colorful and beautiful environments, all with their own areas, secrets and twists in the gameplay, which is always very appreciated. The missions and levels in Sly 3 and 4 are among some of my favorites in any game, and while there are some killjoys here and there, they are great improvements from the flawed first 2 games in the franchise. And don't even get me started on the amazing boss battles. They are all very fun and creative as well. I wish I could talk more in depth about Honor Among Thieves and Thieves in Time, but they are too long and complex games, and since they are here as a tie, doing so would make this segment even longer than it already is. Seriously, these 2 games made me fall in love with the Sly Cooper franchise, and I realized that I love it because of how much it reminds me of my dear old Crash Bandicoot. This is a damn good replacement, and I really want to talk more about this series on my channel, so if there's any Sly Cooper countdown or video you want to see me make, just leave a suggestion in the comments. Until then, I can't wait to see more of Sly Cooper, being with the new games or even their upcoming feature film, which I also mentioned last year and we still have just one trailer of. Huh, movies do take a lot of time to make. Darksiders II. I never played the original Darksiders, and trust me, I tried. So hard. I bought 2 copies and neither of them worked, for whatever reason.
Somebody out there must really hate me.
So, I decided to give up and just go for the sequel. After all, I heard the original game was just good, but very flawed. Darksiders 2, however, completely blew my mind. This is one of the most complete and epic games I've ever played, and I played quite a few of those. Darksiders 2 gained critical acclaim because of how it mixes elements from other games in a perfect blend. Do you like the fast-paced combat and gigantic bosses from God of War? Do you like the solid dungeon designs and interesting puzzle solving from The Legend of Zelda? Hell, do you like the smooth controls and fun platforming from Assassin's Creed, which ripped it off from Prince of Persia? Well, Darksiders 2 has all of that and even more, so you should definitely try it out if you enjoy any of those games to an extent. Combine that with some of the most creative character designs in a game, colorful environments and graphics, and one beautiful yet epic soundtrack by composer Jesper Kyd, and you got yourself an interesting, underappreciated gem. You play as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, Death, who is trying to redeem his brother War after the events of the first game. And I gotta say, this story was something I didn't really care too much about. This is not a story-driven game like those titles it takes elements from. It's quite a cliché story, but at least the main character is very awesome. Death is a major badass. I love him and he's my husbando now. Look at that face, he's such a cutie pie. I seriously can't recommend Darksiders 2 enough. It just has so much to it that I really enjoyed it all the way through, and it was one of my favorite gaming experiences in 2015. Like every Darksiders fan, I really hope we get a 3rd installment in the near future. I'll try to get a functioning copy of Darksiders 1 in the meantime. Undertale. The other indie game I played this year, and yes, I know, everybody and their grandma have been talking about Undertale for the past few months. I know how annoying it can get, but trust me, unlike other recent internet trends, this one is completely justified. Undertale is a fantastic game that everybody should play and talk about. If you haven't played Undertale yet and you're still interested in doing so, I recommend you stop watching and skip to number 1. This is such a unique game that is best played without knowing anything about it. Just go and pick it up, it's very cheap after all. If you're still here, this means you already played Undertale, or you just don't care about it, so I won't even bother telling you what the game is about, nor why I love it so much, why I love its creative bullet hell / JRPG gameplay, why I love its amazing and memorable cast of characters, why I love its cheeky sense of humor, why I love the ingenious twist it has, why I love the deep and emotional story, or why I love the incredible soundtrack, which is definitely the best of any game in this entire list. Nope, I am not going to waste my time by explaining you why I love Undertale so much.
Oh wait, I just did that, whoops.
In all seriousness, like everybody else who played it, Undertale grew on me very fast. It was the first indie game I truly played and enjoyed to its fullest, and it proved me how much you can do with so little. All these creative ideas, all these amazing characters, and this unique story were all made possible thanks to a crowd-funded independent video game. Mega Rayquaza bless you, Toby Fox. I don't want to sound like it's super pretentious though. After all, this is a game about a pair of skeletons that make puns and eat spaghetti, a lesbian dinosaur that is in love with a lesbian fish woman, and a murdering robot who is also a TV host. Ha, you just can't make this shit up.
And if you thought Sly Cooper was weird, this game makes some people want to bone a goat, a fish, or even a spider. Not me though, I swear. Haha, bone get it. Sans would be so proud of me.
But everything in this game has more to it than it may seem at first glance. To be fair, as a video game, Undertale has flaws that prevent it to be the best game I played in 2015. at least from a technical standpoint. It's very short and it can be hard for some people to get into it, but that's a conversation for another day. Truth be told, Undertale was such a fun ride that I am sure it will stick with me way more than any game on this list, even the #1 spot. It goes to show that a lot of heart, creativity, effort and sense of humor can create memorable experiences with very little resources.
And now you will see how everybody all over YouTube will proceed to make Undertale videos. Including myself, if you guys want me to. Like I said before, I belong in the trash. Well done!
Of course, my favorite game I played in 2015 is none other than Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which also came out in 2015. This year we all witnessed Konami's downfall into a shitty company that kept making bad decision after another. Not only did they cancel the really promising Silent Hills, but they also fired Hideo Kojima and tried to fuck up his final game at the company. But even with this messy development story stuck in the middle of a battle between Kojima and Konami, it's impressive just how tight and polished MGS5 feels. Not many games can survive that and still manage to be one of the best of its generation. For starters, the presentation in The Phantom Pain is top notch. Despite all the cuts and problems it had during development, the game still looks and performs perfectly. The graphics are some of the best I had the pleasure to ever see in a game, and the huge overworld looks fantastic on both last gen and new gen consoles. The voice acting from everybody is just perfect, and the soundtrack is really memorable. Not only there are amazing original songs that will stick with you, but there are also a lot of licensed songs you are familiar with, like Take On Me or The Final Countdown. But at the end of the day, the gameplay is truly what made MGS5 my favorite game I played this year. This is just the best stealth sandbox ever created, since it has not one, but two huge overworlds with a lot of different and interesting missions to play through. And how you accomplish your objective is up to you. Want to go full Rambo on the enemy's ass? You can do it. Want a more classic Metal Gear experience and infiltrate without being noticed? You can do that too. How about a mixture of both types of gameplay? Of course you can do that as well, my friend. These are your own strategies, your own decisions. So seeing everything you planned working out perfectly is just very satisfying and makes the gameplay feel more personal. Some people complain that MGS5 is repetitive, but that would be like saying GTA is repetitive because all I do is kill hookers over and over. I mean, the fun in this game comes from coming up with different strategies and techniques to use, and this is possible thanks to the almost infinite customization possibilities. Building your mother base is awesome, and it's always fun to develop your own weapons and unique gadgets. And the Fulton system is hilarious but useful. And let's not forget my favorite new element in the Phantom Pain, the buddy system. Snake can choose up to 4 different types of companions to help him during the missions. I liked all of them, even D-Walker, but D-Dog and Quiet were my 2 favorites, and from now on, it will be hard to play any other stealth game without them. They were really useful and fun to have on my team.
Now, I know, you must be thinking, wow, this sounds like the best Metal Gear game ever! It sounds like the perfect game! And to that, I have to say...
I wish the Phantom Pain was as perfect as I wanted it to be, but it isn't. For starters, the story was a disappointment, at least for Metal Gear standards. The plot is good and all, but it definitely falls apart in the obviously incomplete second chapter. I don't know if this is Konami's fault or not, but it's not very deep for a Hideo Kojima game. Man, based on this list alone, I did have some problems with video game stories this year, But MGS5 wouldn't be #1 if I didn't enjoy parts of its story, and I did! The relationship between Quiet and Big Boss was very interesting and touching. As controversial as she was, Quiet is actually an amazing character, and I am not going to sexualize her because of her clothing. This is coming from the guy who sexualized a fox and a spider in the same video, mind you. There are a few shocking and really memorable parts in here too. I really like them, and that ending was so controversial that it divided the entire fanbase in half. Without spoiling too much, I can say I thought it was a genius twist, even if it was not exactly what I expected from this game. And it shows how clever Hideo Kojima can be when it comes to writing stories. Metal Gear Solid 5 is a very deep and big game, so I have to stop talking here, but it's not hard to see why I loved it so much. this game has so much content for the price of admission is just mind-blowing. Way better than the scam that was Ground Zeroes, because this definitely was one of the best and most complete gaming experiences of the year. Major kudos to Kojima and his entire team.
For all those reasons and even more, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain is the best game I played in 2015. And I really hope Konami goes bankrupt soon because of all the stupid decisions they made this year. Who the hell fires Hideo Kojima in order to make pachinko machines? But let's not end in such a negative note. I am Obsidious fan, and I can't thank you guys enough. 2015 was an amazing year for my channel, and I seriously appreciate every single one of my fans. Let's just hope 2016 is just as good. I hope you guys have happy holidays and a happy new year.
I don't really have much else to say in the outro, so I will keep it brief. As always, feel free to subscribe if you like my videos, and check out my other countdowns, my game reviews, or my original series, The Boss Inspection. I suggest you take a look at the description. There's a link to a poll down there so you guys can help me decide what my next game review will be. It would be very helpful if you guys vote. I would really appreciate it. Well, that's all for today. There goes my final video of the year. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys in 2016.